All right. Hi, I'm Jason Hankins. This is your video for trench rescue, individual skills, air system setup for Paratech rescue struts. So this skill begins first of all with grabbing the correct equipment and getting a proper site selection. So in the scenario of a trench rescue, the proper site selection is an area that's near the trench where you're going to be able to hear the entry team, and at the same time you're out of the way of the panel team that's going to be operating near the trench. For the purposes of this video, our site selection is right here. I've placed a tarp down, and for the purposes of this video, I've already grabbed the correct equipment. So you'll notice I have my strut controls here. I've got my 4,500 PSI air source. Manufacturer recommends an air source that is 5,500 PSI or less, so this qualifies. And I have my air hoses selected. Okay. You'll also notice that I have grabbed the high pressure airbag box. This contains a few things that we're going to need to correctly set up the system. So I begin to set up this system by verifying that I have the correct air pressure is in my bottle. I've got a nice bottle, it's full. I'm going to open up my strut controls. I'm going to grab my regulator, and I note that it says rescue struts on it, so that it's the correct regulator. Okay. And I make sure that this regulator is ready for use by making sure that the outlet valve here is turned to the closed position. That's so turn that the arrow is away from the coupling here. Okay. And I also make sure that my adjustment knob is full counterclockwise, and it is. Okay. So with that, I can make my connection to my air bottle. Also, as you're going, making sure that your equipment looks clean, that it looks like it's going to function properly. It doesn't need to be wiped down or anything. If it is dirty or oily, we'll wipe it down prior to use. So I make that connection. Now, before I turn on the bottle, I'm going to actually go ahead and continue building this system out all the way, and then I'll return to the air bottle and pressurize it. Coming to the high pressure box, I'm going to grab out the black hose, as well as both of these Y devices. Okay, these are a single nipple, double coupling Y device. Okay. When we set up the system, we want to put the black hose connected to the adjustable regulator going to our dead man controller, which we'll get out here in just a moment. I'm going to make my connection, and anytime I make one of these connections, I'm going to make sure that quick connect coupling is in a secured and locked position. Okay, make sure that it cannot come out. I'm going to grab my dual dead man controller and make that connection. Now I've got enough hoses here, and I have my Y devices, so I'm going to go ahead and set this system up as if I was going to perform, say, an L trench and have 4 hoses operating. Again, making sure each time that I spin that locking collar and that we're fully engaged and locked. For the purposes of this video, I've already connected multiple lengths of hose together. When I make these connections, I'm going to color coordinate depending on the trench that I'm performing the pressurization for. So, for example, if I'm doing an L trench, if I'm going to use a red and a yellow hose on the same Y device, I'm planning ahead that this red hose will be going into the outside corner of an L trench, and this yellow will go to, if it's going into the same splitter, is going to end up going to the opposite leg of the L trench. As you perform your individual skill, just demonstrate to the test proctor that you have, you're putting thought into your colors that you're utilizing. Again, each time I'm making that connection, I'm spinning that collar, making sure it's locked. Okay. Again, now returning to the bottle, making sure I'm in the closed position there, full counterclockwise. I'm going to pressurize the bottle. As I pressurize, I'm going to watch this gauge here. Now, our gauge on our regulator actually doesn't function so well, but it did go up. But we are reading 4,500 psi here and 1,000 here, but that's because this gauge isn't working so well at the moment. Okay, our pressure gauge here is reading 0. So at this point, I'm going to turn the outlet supply valve to the on position. That's arrow towards the coupling. And I'm going to turn my pressure adjustment knob to the desired pressure. In this case, 250 psi is what we're going to want for our trench. So slowly making adjustments until we've reached that 250 psi mark. We may have to adjust later as pressure gets put into the struts. May have to come back and readjust that. If you go over, make sure that if you go down in order to get back to the range you want, that your final adjustment is in the clockwise or increased position for the most accuracy. Okay. At this point, we'd be ready to operate our strut system, make our connections to our struts, and perform the trench rescue. So that's your individual skill for air system setup of Paratech struts. For more information on this, you can go to our T drive and look up the printed version instructions for this, as well as talk to your trench instructors. All right, look for more videos in the future. Thanks.